Have you ever opened up that, bag of takeout and pulled out that most mysterious and disgusting packet of strange chemicals? I'm talking about sweet sour sauce. Yeah, it's delicious. Not really. That stuff, I don't know what they put in it. But today we're going to talk about the most basic form of sweet sour sauce that you can come up with. We'll start off with the basics, and then we'll see if we can build on it. And hopefully come up with something worthy of your fork. Welcome to Man with a Fork. My name is Vince. Let's get cooking. Sweet and sour. So let's start off with something sweet. Let's say good old-fashioned table sugar. And there's nothing more directly sour than, well, plain old white vinegar. Okay. So we will begin by starting off with a base amount of white vinegar. I'm gonna, go ahead and bring out the old food scale over here. We're gonna crack open some of this. I think we're gonna start off with 2 ounces, straight up acidity. And now we'll get some table sugar. And then we'll figure out what the magic number is. Right now, we started off with 2 ounces of basic white vinegar. Now we're just going to add sugar. I'm dissolving the sugar so I don't see any more crystals. Now we're going to give it one more taste test. And that's actually what I'm looking for. You're actually looking for a ratio of 2 to 1. By weight, 2 parts vinegar, in this case white vinegar, so we're not playing with any offsetting flavors, and then we're adding 1 part of plain old white table sugar. We could stop the show right here, because this is actually sweet sour sauce. It's got the sweet, it's got the sour. You can pour it over everything, except it would probably not taste very good. One of the most common forms of sweet sour sauce that's out there is actually plain old-fashioned ketchup. If you figure out what's actually happening with ketchup, you'll get a lot of the same sensations that I'm getting out of this sweet sour sauce. But ketchup doesn't stop with just sugar and vinegar, right? There's more to the story, and one of the things that you want to get to amp this up and make it something more familiar to your palate is a little something called umami. It's the 5th flavor. It's that thing that kind of gives you a sort of meaty sort of hit to things. Okay, it's not that exciting really. As it turns out, it's good old-fashioned MSG. Monosodium glutamate is that thing that flavor compound that we actually look for and we find naturally in things like meat, in things that are fermented, things like cheese. It's the sort of thing that gives you a little bit of that extra, I want more of that. So I'm using some regular soy sauce over here. And it's just enough to give us a nice light caramel color, right? Just a nice light caramel color. Good enough for color, probably not good enough for the flavor that I'm looking for, because I'm also looking for a little bit of saltiness. So let's balance that out with a little bit of salt. Good old table salt. Well, actually, kosher salt. And now we're hitting the flavor profile that we're looking for. At this point, we could stop. This is a legitimate sweet sour sauce. If you don't mind your sweet and sour sauce running all over the place, we probably need to do a little something extra. So what we're going to do next is add a little starch. And in our case, we're going with some cornstarch. And again, let's find out how much we need. Okay, this is a small amount of liquid here. So literally I'm putting in like 0.05 ounces. We'll figure out what that is in terms of teaspoons and stuff like that later. But for now, we'll just whisk that. And this is what it looks like right now. It's a cloudy caramel color. Okay. If you want a thicker liquid, we could do that. But for now, we'll start with this, and we're going to bring it to a boil. We're not going to do anything fancy for right now. We're actually just going to put it in the microwave for about 1.5 minutes on high. You'll end up with something that looks like this. And the consistency, it should pour like thin honey. Okay. So, again, we could stop the show right here. But generally, you want to go a little bit farther, and really, a lot of sweet sour sauces that we actually enjoy have another component. There often is a fruit component. Now, some fruits actually cheat a little. Remember our friend earlier, the bottle of ketchup? Well, ketchup, one of the more addictive qualities of ketchup, the craveable qualities, one of the qualities that comes out, actually comes from the primary ingredient in ketchup itself, which is tomatoes. Tomatoes are rich, very, very rich in that umami flavor that we were talking about. And as it turns out, ketchup is not an unusual ingredient in regular higher end sweet sour sauce. So we're actually going to use some of it. Shake up our bottle of ketchup and squeeze some of that right in there. This does a couple things. It adds that new dimension here, which is a flavor that wasn't present there before, a fruity flavor. Tomatoes are fruit, and that's what we're doing right now. We're adding a fruit component to it, and this particular fruit is high in umami. Plus, ketchup is quite colorful. In the warm liquid, it dissolves rather readily. What we have here is something that tastes like what we expect sweet sour sauce to taste like. It's a condiment that you could slather over anything, or just take a little bit of a dip in, and it's enough to tickle your taste buds. But who eats sweet sour sauce on its own? What is sweet sour sauce normally married to? Something fried. Something fork-worthy. How about a plate of freshly made fried chicken? Why don't you take a look at that? You see it? Okay. Delicious, golden brown, crispy. We'll test it out. So, let's try it out. Take a piece of this. How about right? We'll dip it in our sauce. But let's find out if it's worth eating. I really wish I could share some of this right now. I'm talking with my mouth full. That's so good. Well, I really hope that you enjoyed this particular episode of Man with a Fork because, well, it's the only one to enjoy. It's our very first episode. And I'm glad you were able to spend some time, joining us a few minutes out of your day. If you want to see more of this, please hit like on the bottom, subscribe, add comments. I want to see if you've had a chance to try out this little basic dish, and I want to see how you can build on it. Add a little spice, add a little heat. But whatever you do, add a little joy. This is Vince, Man with a Fork. Until next time. If you want to see more episodes,
Stop eating. You take one bite and you talk, man.